Some crimes don't just break the law. They break the laws of physics, of logic, of what we believe is possible. To understand a crime like that, we have to go to Belgium. To a city where the air smells like money and paranoia. Antwerp. Over 80% of the world's raw diamonds pass through this 1 square mile district. This isn't just a city. It's a vault. And at the heart of that district is the Antwerp Diamond Centre. It doesn't look like a military fortress. To the naked eye, it looks like a boring gray office block. But that anonymity is its best defense. And on the cold Monday morning of February 17th, 2003, detectives descended into that building's sub-basement. The vault manager couldn't get the door open. But what they saw when it finally swung wide would become legend in the annals of crime. The door wasn't blown, it wasn't cut, it was just open, and behind it, chaos. Imagine it. 123 of the 160 boxes torn open. Diamonds, gold, cash, all gone. A haul later estimated at over $100 million. But the most shocking part wasn't what they took. It was how. The vault was protected by 10 layers of security. Not a single one was triggered. Not one alarm sounded. Not one camera recorded a thing. No one saw anything. No one heard anything. The police were hunting ghosts. But these weren't ghosts. They were a team of artists, and they left the world with more than just an empty vault. They left a puzzle, a message that any system, no matter how perfect, can be beaten. To understand how they pulled it off, we first have to build their target, their Everest. We have to build the Diamond Fortress. Before it was a crime scene, the Antwerp Diamond Centre's vault was a masterpiece of paranoia. It wasn't just a room with a thick door. It was a living, breathing predator designed to detect, trap, and neutralize any threat. To beat it, you didn't just need a plan. You needed to wage a war on 10 different fronts. Layer 10. The building itself. The Diamond Centre is a pillar of the community. Dozens of other businesses operate there. The robbers needed to get in and out without anyone. Receptionists, security guards, other tenants, noticing anything unusual. They needed to be ghosts. Layer 9. The private guard. The center had its own 24/7 security force. Not your average night watchman, a professional crew, tasked with protecting billions of dollars. Layer 8. The antechamber. Before you even reached the vault, you had to pass through a locked steel gate. And that gate was watched. Not just by a camera, by men. Layer 7. The key. The vault door itself was a monster. To even think about opening it, you needed a key, not a normal key. This was a foot-long, serpent-like piece of metal, with a unique, almost uncopyable design. There were only a few in existence. Layer 6. The combination lock. The key alone was useless. You also needed the code. A classic spin-dial combination lock with 100 million possible combinations. The code was changed frequently. Guessing it was not an option. And now, we get to the good stuff. The 5 layers of electronic warfare. Layer 5. The door itself. A 3-ton slab of steel and reinforced concrete. But the real defense was inside. If someone tried to drill it, a thermal sensor would trigger the alarm. If it was somehow rattled or forced, a seismic sensor would trigger the alarm. Layer 4. The magnetic field. The moment the vault door was shut, 2 powerful plates completed a magnetic circuit. If that door opened by even a millimeter without being properly disarmed, the magnetic field would break, and the alarm would scream. Layers 3 and 2. The Watchers in the dark. Inside the sealed vault, It was a technological death trap. A Doppler effect radar would detect any motion whatsoever. An infrared heat sensor would pick up the body heat of any living thing. And finally, Layer 1, the man. All of this was monitored by a human being in a command center. Every sensor, every camera feed. The final failsafe was a person paid to trust nothing and no one. 10 layers, a technological marvel, a physical impossibility. The Antwerp Diamond Vault was less of a security system and more of a statement. A statement that said, you cannot win. So, who would be crazy enough to even try? Every great heist has a mastermind, a conductor for an orchestra of chaos. The man who dared to challenge the Diamond Fortress wasn't your typical smash-and-grab burglar. His name was Leonardo Notarbartolo. By 2000, Notarbartolo was a legend in the Italian criminal underworld. A high-end jewel thief who saw his work not as a crime, but as an art form. He was so good, so trusted. He pulled off the ultimate camouflage. He rented an office inside the Antwerp Diamond Centre itself, posing as a freelance diamond merchant. For 3 years, he played the part. He bought, he sold, he made friends. But mostly, he watched. He learned the building's rhythms, its secrets, its weaknesses. He was a wolf in the most expensive sheep's clothing imaginable. But even a wolf can't take down a fortress alone. He needed a team, a crew of specialists known in the trade as the School of Turin. First, the monster. His real name was Ferdinando Finotto, a gentle giant, a loyal friend, but more importantly, a mechanical and electrical powerhouse. If something needed to be opened, moved, or rewired, he was your man. Next, the genius, Pietro Tavano, a quiet, nervous man who possessed an almost supernatural gift for defeating alarm systems. He could listen to the hum of an electrical panel and tell you its life story. He was their ghost in the machine. Then there was the keyman, Elio D'Onorio, a veteran lockpicker and forger. His job was arguably the most delicate, to replicate the uncopyable key and crack the vault's combination. A master of whispers and tumblers. And finally, leading them all, the king of thieves himself, Leonardo Notarbartolo, the face of the operation, the planner, the man with the vision. This wasn't just a random crew. This was a surgical team, hand-picked for one impossible operation. For months, they prepared. In a warehouse outside Antwerp, they built a full-scale replica of the vault. They practiced every step in total darkness, memorizing the layout until they could navigate it by touch alone. They trained, they planned, they perfected. The night of Saturday, February 15th, 2003. The city sleeps. The Diamond Centre is quiet. The stage is set. Now, the performance begins. This is it, the point of no return. For the next several hours, the School of Turin will be ghosts inside the machine. Their enemy isn't human. It's a network of circuits, sensors, and steel, designed to be infallible. But Notarbartolo found a flaw. Not in the technology, but in the people who used it. The heist began years earlier, with a simple observation. Notarbartolo noticed the building's private security guards had a habit. They were lazy. They rarely, if ever, checked the offices of tenants they knew. So, the crew enters not through a window, but through Notarbartolo's own office. No alarms, no suspicion. Once inside, they wait. Until the dead of night. Now for the guards' patrol route. Notarbartolo had spent months mapping it. They moved through the hallways like shadows, always one step ahead of the patrol. Next, the antechamber gate. Brute force was not an option, but there was a weakness. The security camera watching the gate was linked to a VCR in a nearby utility closet. The genius, Pietro Tavano, gets to work. He doesn't disable the camera. He loops it. He records a few minutes of the empty, silent corridor, and then plays that short loop back to the security monitor. To the guard watching, everything looks normal. But in reality, The camera is now blind. Now, for the vault itself. The keyman, Elio Donorio, steps up. How did he get the uncopyable key? He didn't. Notarbartolo did. Months earlier, during one of his business visits to the vault, he used a tiny pen-sized spy camera to take hundreds of photos of the key from every conceivable angle while it was left unattended for just a few moments. From those photos, the key man meticulously crafted a perfect duplicate. The combination. This was pure genius. The crew had discovered the security team never bothered to look behind the combination lock's housing panel. So, the genius installed a tiny sensor that recorded the electrical impulses as the vault manager dialed the code on Friday afternoon. The sensor transmitted the combination to a receiver hidden in a fire extinguisher in the hallway. When they retrieved it, they had the code. The door is unlocked, but opening it would trigger the 5 electronic layers. The real chess match begins now. First, the magnetic field. This seemed impossible, but the genius found a simple, elegant solution. He took the aluminum housing of the alarm plates, unscrewed it, and attached heavy-duty tape to both sides of the plates. Then, he screwed the housing back on. When they opened the vault door, the plates were physically pulled apart, but the tape held them together just long enough for the magnetic circuit to remain closed. The system thought the door was still shut. Now they're inside, but the vault is a death trap of sensors. They have to defeat heat and motion detectors. This is where Notarbartolo's meticulous study paid off. He knew the infrared sensor was light sensitive, so the genius simply turned off the lights in the corridor before they opened the door. The sensor was already in darkness, so it didn't register a change. The final boss, the Doppler motion sensor. Unbeatable, they said. It would detect a fly buzzing in the room. But Notarbartolo's research revealed its one weakness. It was shielded by the very thing it was meant to protect, the metal safe deposit boxes. The crew moved with painstaking slowness, using a large polyester shield, a material the radar had trouble detecting, to mask their movements as they went from box to box. It was a slow, agonizing process. And the final layer? The man in the security room? He's watching a looped video of an empty hallway. He's seeing sensor readings that all say, normal. He's sipping his coffee, completely oblivious. They did it. 10 layers of state-of-the-art security, bypassed with tape, a cheap camera, and an obscene amount of planning. For the next 2 hours, the vault was their personal playground. They broke open 123 boxes, stuffing bags with a king's ransom in uncut diamonds, gold, and jewels. They were methodical. They were brilliant. They were untouchable. They had committed the perfect crime. A flawless masterpiece that should have been studied in criminal textbooks for a century. So why, 2 days later, did Leonardo Notarbartolo do something so catastrophically stupid? It would bring the entire operation crashing down? Success in the world of high-stakes crime isn't just about the score. It's about the getaway. It's about disappearing. Every member of the school of Turin had one job after the heist: melt back into the world, become ghosts again. The plan was simple. Lay low, don't make any contact, and above all, destroy every last piece of evidence. They had a burn site selected, a remote, secure location where every tool, every blueprint, every piece of clothing would be incinerated and turned to ash. A clean slate. It was the final, critical step of a multi-year plan. But Leonardo Notarbartolo and his wife were driving back from Antwerp. In their car was a single garbage bag. Inside it, the remnants of the heist. A half-eaten sandwich, empty coffee cups, and also torn-up blueprints of the vault, discarded security passes, and DNA-covered latex gloves. It was a bag full of clues that could unravel the entire operation. According to his own story, Notarbartolo's partner, the monster, was supposed to dispose of the bag, but he got scared. He had a panic attack and refused to handle the evidence. So now, the fate of the perfect crime was sitting in a trash bag in Leonardo's car. And this is where the story of the world's greatest heist becomes the story of the world's dumbest criminal. Instead of driving to the burn site, instead of burying the bag, instead of throwing it into a river, Notarbartolo pulls over to the side of a public highway, gets out of his car, and just dumps it. He throws away a bag containing the evidence for a $100 million crime on the side of a road, in a forest known to be popular with hikers and locals. And sure enough, the very next day, a local landowner, a retired man named August Van Camp, is walking through the woods. He has a rule. He cleans up any trash he finds on his property. He sees the bag. He finds half-eaten salami. An invoice is made out to Leonardo Notarbartolo. He finds scattered diamonds that had fallen out of their packets. He finds the DNA of the entire crew on gloves and coffee cups. He finds everything. He calls the police. The king of thieves, the mastermind behind a flawless, decade-in-the-making plan, is brought down by a half-eaten sandwich and a retired man cleaning up the woods. Does that make any sense to you? A stupid mistake. That's the official story, the accepted narrative. But here at Resonarchive, we don't accept narratives that don't make sense. And the idea that a criminal genius like Notarbartolo would self-sabotage, that doesn't just not make sense. It's an insult to intelligence. So what if it wasn't a mistake? What if it was the final, most brilliant move in a much larger game? Let's look at the facts. The inconvenient facts that are always glossed over. Fact number 1, the loot. Of the estimated $100+ million stolen, almost none of it was ever recovered. The police caught the thieves, but the treasure vanished. Fact number 2, the sentence. For masterminding one of the largest robberies in history, Leonardo Notarbartolo was sentenced to just 10 years. He was released on parole after serving only 6. For a $100 million crime. That's not just a light sentence. It's a bargain. Fact number 3, the insurance. This is the most important piece of the puzzle. The diamond industry runs on 2 things: trust and insurance. Every single stone in that vault was insured. Once the police confirmed the diamonds were stolen and unrecoverable, the insurance companies had to pay out. Tens of millions of dollars were legally transferred to the diamond owners. So, let's assemble a new theory, a Resonarchive theory. What if the goal wasn't just to steal diamonds? What if the goal was to make diamonds disappear? Imagine you're a diamond dealer. You have millions in inventory that's hard to sell. Or maybe you're involved in something less legal. Money laundering, perhaps. How do you liquidate those assets without a paper trail? You can't just sell them, but you can have them stolen. This is the double heist theory. Heist number 1. Notarbartolo and his crew are hired to physically steal the contents of the vault. They are the perfect scapegoats, talented enough to pull it off, but ultimately disposable. Heist number 2. The real crime. A group of insiders, let's call them the clients, use the chaos of the robbery to file massive insurance claims. They get paid out in clean, untraceable cash for diamonds that they may have wanted to get off their books anyway. 2. His arrest provides the police with a swift, easy conviction. The case is solved. The pressure is off. And no one needs to dig any deeper into who actually owned the stolen gems. 3. He ensures the diamonds are officially declared unrecoverable, unlocking the massive insurance payouts. He was never meant to get away with the diamonds. He was meant to get caught without them. His reward? A short prison sentence, a potential cut of the real profits hidden away for him, and eternal bragging rights as the man who pulled off the crime of the century. He didn't fail. He performed his role perfectly. The school of Turin weren't the masterminds. They were the stars of a show, produced and directed by someone else entirely. So where does that leave us? With a story far more complex than a simple heist. It's a story about layers of deception, where the crime you see is designed to hide the one you don't. Leonardo Notarbartolo served his time. Today, he's a free man. He's a minor celebrity, giving interviews and enjoying his notoriety. He sticks to his story. He was the mastermind. He was brilliant. and he made one clumsy mistake. He never talks about who hired him, saying only that he was threatened. He never revealed where the diamonds went. Perhaps he doesn't even know. The other members of the School of Turin also served short sentences. The insurance companies paid the claims. The diamond dealers got their money. The police closed their case. Everyone, in a way, got what they wanted. The system worked exactly as it was supposed to. And this reveals the true nature of a perfect crime. A perfect crime isn't one that no one knows about. That's a myth. A perfect deception is one where everyone is given a story they are willing to believe. He gave them a story about a brilliant thief and a stupid mistake. It was a story so good, so simple, so satisfying, that no one felt the need to ask what was really going on. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled wasn't convincing the world he didn't exist. It was convincing the world he was an idiot.